What does tilt me, because we've already addressed on a past episode that whole like ridiculous thing where there's now like a meta of fans sending the trucks to the fucking Korean team. The reason that also doesn't make sense is there's now 3 teams which have historically dominant. There's the Gen G one, which is the best by far. There's T1, which is supposed to win, and now down one spot. 2 of you can't win anyway. There's only 1 winner each time. So is someone just getting a truck no matter what? Is there always a truck going to someone's house? Like, what are we doing?
What's hilarious about the truck situation? As an aside, first off, I do think we haven't talked about this narrative, but Score winning in his first year as a coach after it took him like 6 or 7 years to win his first title as a player and arguably the greatest jungler.
Don't forget he's even on the team, innit? Yeah, I know.
Is like I'm happy for Score because like finally it came easy to him for once.
Also, think how genius that is. Yeah, if I had Peanut, maybe I might want Score as his coach. Oh, now he's suddenly like mastered actually the complete outplayer to play jungle. Perfect.
Yep,
that's a slam dunk.
So I'm happy for Score, number 1. Number 2, about the truck incidents. What's so funny about the fucking trucks is that so the T1 fans are angry about the coaching situation, but also Faker is the actual coach of that team. So I guess you're just mad at Faker because the whole thing was that Faker, they didn't like the 10-man rotation, and that was bad. It was a bad idea, and it was badly executed. But what happened was, it's not like, guys, Polt isn't the problem. If you think that Polt is the one deciding game strategy, he's fucking not. He's a StarCraft pro and a TFT pro. He's a very intelligent guy, but he's not going to be able to talk to the best player of all time, and certainly the most famous player of all time, and tell him what to do. Like this team is being controlled by Faker. Like that, he is the coach. So if you're sending trucks at Faker. Like, let's be clear about what the actual power structure within this team is. Now, if you're sending trucks at Damwon Kia, you're using results bias to look at the coaching staff, because as we've talked about here and other times, I actually really like the drafting in that best of 5. The fact that they set up the Yasuo Senna, and then at the start of the series, and then on red side, they were able to like hide the Yasuo again and pull out this like crazy composition. The drafting was very creative and very good, I think, from Damwon Kia. Now, did the players suck at using it? Yes. And that could also be a coaching problem, right? Like, do we know that they're picking the compositions that they've practiced or that they understand? Is the coach relaying the right information to the players? But the drafts were not really the issue in that series. In fact, they gave them pretty substantial advantages, in my opinion, and were surprising. So why are you mad at the Damwon Kia coaching when we cannot know if the problem is the coaching, but we do know that the drafts appear to be strong? They're weird, but they're strong. Stop sending trucks. It's stupid.
I think about the traditional sports, right? And this is something that I talk about quite a fair bit in terms of like what the role of a coach is of the team. And like when grabs, like the whole like grabs draft meme used to be a thing for G2. Is that I would say it's like part of the job scope to thank the flame from the plebs, right? To thank the flame from the fans, right? And it's like in traditional sports as well. When you watch, I watch soccer or football, right? And when a player is playing badly, when the team is losing, very once in a while, yes, fans, if like it's like one player who's like terrible, but the fans are gonna like jeer him and stuff like that. But usually the person they're calling for, their bullying, is usually the general manager instead, right? It's always they're saying stacked in the morning and stuff like that. When their team is losing and they want the manager out and stuff like that. I mean, of course, now these days it's a lot more complicated with the ownership structures and stuff like that. But that used to be the case, right? Where when fans are angry with the team, because they can't really discern, right? As fans, they can't really discern like, is this player playing well or not? Yes, sometimes they make an egregious mistake and stuff like that. But in general, when the team is losing, who do they blame? They go for the top dog. They go for the leadership. And I'll say that's kind of like part of the job. So if it means getting the trucks and stuff like that, it's just an unfortunate conditioning of what have been used to.
I just find it funny, Jensen, that there, especially in T1's case, because it's so abundantly clear who the like actual coach of this team is, that they're like, you need to get former professional players as the coach. Like, your coach is the greatest player of all time. Like you already have that, guys. Maybe that's the problem. I'm just gonna put that out there. Maybe it's an issue. Are you ready for the ultimate? You don't actually have coaches, and it's a player.
Do you want to know what the biggest punchline of all? And this is truly ironic. Do you know what the first truck was sent for? It was the LS situation. And do you know what the demand of the T1 fans was? That they hire a coach called Diney, Who is the coach who's now getting the trucks from the Damwon fans? That is so.
Fired.
Also, one, if you're a T1 fan, we did what you wanted. It didn't work. Why are you speaking again? Maybe you shouldn't pick the coach. All you can do is call the truck firm or whatever. And then secondly, if T1 doesn't win Worlds, I'm just going to buy Joe Marsh one of those key rings that says keep on trucking. There you go. There you go.
Also, I am slightly salty. I said this on the watch party that we had, but I was gonna rent my own truck for the T1 semifinal and write a message to the Korean fans to stop being so spoiled when they have like the best, the greatest legacy of all time and the greatest player of all time on their team. But unfortunately, what happened was Joe Marsh decided to make a bunch of really weird comments on Discord and get into that whole scandal. And I didn't want Korean fans to think that I was defending Joe Marsh in any way.
There you go.
So I was like, great. Now I just lost my opportunity for jokes with trucks because they're actually surprisingly inexpensive. So in the future, I will send trucks, guys, but I couldn't do it this time. God damn it. Next year.
Okay. Because that's the other reason here's the other thing as well. I at least actually in a weird way get the Damwon one though, because the problem they have is since they kept Canyon and Showmaker and they got Naguri back, like narratively, if you're the fans, you are supposed to be the dominant team and win everything. It's all so on that one. I at least get the idea. The fan, like Jensen says, they can't see in the server what's going on. So there's like the management must have fucked it up. What are you doing? Right, the T1 one is egregious as fuck though. You even still have a chance to win all these championships and worlds. Like that is just like you're saying. You are just incredibly spoiled. You really think every season your team doesn't have to have a chance to. They have to win. Every single LCK and every Worlds, your team has to win. What? Because you support them, you twat. How about if the players are good enough? If the coach does a good enough job? What? Just because you're a fan, they're supposed to win? Like, man alive, what is this, your birthday? You a 12-year-old girl? Ah, it's a pink pony. I asked for a purple one. Get it out. Kill it. Like, what the fuck? This is mental, mate. Y'all are the most spoiled fans of all time. And by the way, I really hate that type of a fan. Because here's the thing. As an analyst, by the way, I can judge the scene, like, the business side. I'd be, well, maybe I wouldn't like keep Faker. Maybe I'll play. The difference is, though, if you're just a fan, how are you ever going to talk shit on Faker? How are you ever going to talk shit on T1? Like, they've given you everything. It's like basically, I'll give you the analogy I would give you, Jensen, is a classic soccer one, which is at the end of his time at Arsenal fans used to say Arsene Wenger should get the fuck out. That is mental, mate, because that's basically, by the way, Monte, the equivalent there is like telling Bill Belichick, get the fuck out the Patriots. Like, what did you ever do for us? Like, what? Everything. Literally everything. Like, that's what fans are like, though. That's the problem, unfortunately, the dark side of when you have a lot of success, you get what we call plastic fans, who are only there, by the way, to cheer the person who wins. And then when you lose, they can't ever appreciate like an epic, valiant effort in a loss or any of this shit. Like, they can't. They can only understand winning. Unfortunately, that's by definition the worst type of fan. Unfortunately,
I mean, admittedly, it was depressing to see T1 collapse in Game 5 at MSI, but they did also make it to Game 5 at MSI, right? Yep. It's not like they were shitters, and the meta did change a little bit before that tournament. And by the way, T1 fans,
it was online. There was all that shit added in. There was so many like fucking circumstantial things you could sort of give them a break for,
Yeah, T1 also still has hands, like very good hands, and we don't know what the World's patch is going to be. I do think it's unlikely that it shifts significantly from this point in time, but even small changes like Zeri kind of falling in priority is probably going to have pretty big effects on the entire meta because, as we discussed earlier, the existence of Zeri is kind of like, she's like a gravitational field that's just like warping everything around her right now. So it could make some changes overall. But if it does change, there is a world where T1 is really good because if they can play carry tops with Zeus, if Owner can play some of these very mechanical champions and make plays, and Faker has a chance to really support his teammates and like play a more roaming mid lane style, this team's super good again. They're still,
absolutely,
they're still a good team right now. They're just not. They're probably not top 3, but are they top 5?
They've also got so much time before Worlds. Like, this team could just turn up at Worlds and be like the second or third best. Why not? It's not impossible.
Yeah. I actually thought that T1 was probably the closest to what I think is the next innovation in terms of like how this meta shifts, right? Like I was saying that this current meta rewards like this scaling team fighting style, and then Gen G with this idea, which I think is what most teams are adopting. There's like 1-2-2 and try and catch farm in all 3 lanes. I actually think that if we were to revive the Season 8 RNG, right? Or how G2 was playing with Perks in AD carry position, this 2019, right? Season 9 G2, where they played this where they play the style and they funnel all the farm into the AD carry, and you see a 300 CS Zeri or Silver at 20 minutes. I think that might be the next evolution of the meta, where now you're playing into the side lane to secure this farm, which is actually, funnily enough, what I thought Fnatic was doing throughout most of the regular season. So I think that there's still space to innovate in this meta, and I wouldn't say that things are cast in stone and set in stone to say that this is the correct way to play League of Legends, and that
I don't know
Here's
if Gumayusi is the dude to do that with, because he just randomly dies, right?
I mean, he means you could obviously also put it through like fucking top lane as well. I assume you could play off that side. The problem is, though, here's the thing, though. I don't want anyone giving credit to Fnatic for that. I don't think Fnatic intentionally chose to not put all the resources into mid and instead to maybe put them in the bot lane. I think that's called Yamato kind of just wants to have a job in 2023. You know, I think he's smart enough to know, like, I need to win a few of these fucking games now.
I mean,
I agree in general, though.
That's definitely so. It's not necessarily the other lanes. It's just very specifically AD carry in this meta because of how multiplicative goal on the AD carry position with Silver and Zeri is, right? So I remember like the third game Silver was like 300 CS at 24 minutes. So I thought they were the closest to that so far.
The greatest what if of this year is what if Teddy was still on this T1 roster. And like if
I said on Twitter, yeah, it'd be the shit, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this.
Because think about it, what hole would they have in the team? The whole team would be solid as fuck.
At MSI, when Gumayusi was running it down in the group stage, if they had Teddy, we said this at MSI, if they had Teddy just to sub in, I think that's a very different team. And if they had Teddy this split, and especially in these playoffs, I think it's a really, really different version of T1. Sure. And they didn't decide to keep him around for another year as kind of an alternate AD carry. And as impressive as Gumayusi was on his debut, right? He was a very promising rookie. Yeah. He made some incredibly flashy games on very flashy champions like Samira. His growth has not been amazing, honestly. And it's people always like, oh, you're hating on Gumayusi. Gumayusi's still a good player. It's just that he's not Ruler or Viper, right? And he needs to become Ruler or Viper at some point in time if he's going to stay on this roster.
I mean, this is also because of how Riot has changed the meta, right? Like, I think as AD carry this year, usually you just play like one style and you just play Kai'Sa and Xayah throughout the year, right? But this year you've had to play 3 different styles. You had to play like the Jinx or Fiddles at the start of the year, and midway through you had to swap over to playing this very high pressure Kalista, Draven, and what was the one? Lucian, right? And Lucian, and now you have to play Zeri and Silver. So there's 3 distinct identities of AD carries that you have to play right now, and it's not just you as an AD carry, because this is something that I think a lot of people don't really see, is that yes, the team running portion is entirely on you, but how the team sets up around you is something that is less intuitive, and you can't just pick up just straight away and say that this is what I'm going to be needing. And I think usually the trend is that AD carries tend to be the worst in terms of like conceptualizing the game and really communicating with the team, because that has been the most static role. You just play the same champion and you play Kai'Sa and Xayah for the last 5 years.
It also helps that Gumayusi's best performances have come off of Korea either babysitting him with Thresh or playing hard engaged champions, which, you know, the Nautilus was just straight up banned by Gen.G in the finals because they realized that it's not a meta ban, but that was going to be the way that T1 was most annoying. Because it enables Korea to engage, and Korea has been very strong on engaged champions and less strong on a lot of enchanters. So it allows him, you know, they really relied on Korea to start many of these fights and to be their primary form of engage, especially because Owner wasn't playing those type of junglers a lot of the time. And Zeus was playing carry tops. So it does seem like it's kind of moved out of their wheelhouse more or less.
The other reason why I would have liked to see Teddy as well is because he is the prototypical AD carry. Like, he will just play safe in the lane. By the way, who'd have an amazing lane with Gary? Then he gets to the team fight and he's going to just consistently DPS while not getting in trouble, let the team peel for him. Gumayusi has come from the fucking Jackie Love tactical fucking, I am going into this fight. He's in that shit. He's in like the Matrix where he's trying to be in bullet time, dodging shit. Like, I hate when this motherfucker goes in. I just know he's going to get blown up immediately. Give me an old school ADC.
I mean, in this meta,
might actually be Gala's struggles as well in RNG, because Gala is a lot closer to Gumayusi, and I'm not sure if he can do the Zeri and Silver as well.
No, I think the issue with Gala is like Gala is just fabulous on on Kai'Sa, and it feels like the Gala just gets a Kai'Sa meta around important international events. He's probably the best Kai'Sa player of all time, but not to say that he has the world's smallest champion pool, but I think he's suffering from not being a great meta for him overall. In the same way that we can say that EG might be suffering because this isn't a good meta for Danny overall either. Gala has pronounced strengths, and that's not what's happening right now.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.